We're not playing good baseball right now, so obviously it's a tough one. It was a tough weekend. We just got to play better, right? And we are capable of doing that. We established a brand of baseball throughout the season, and right now it's not happening. I think in every aspect of the game. We're not pitching well. We're not playing good defense. We're not hitting, so it gets magnified too where we at right now. So we just got to show up tomorrow and put some good at bats, pitch, and play good defense, and try to win a game.
All right, that's Alex Cora from 2 nights ago. Yeah, Mazz, why would you play that? Mazz, they won last night. They beat the Blue Jays. I know. But I want to go back to something from a couple of nights ago because the Red Sox were skidding at the time. They had lost after the doubleheader to the Blue Jays. They had lost 4 in a row or 5 in a row, depending on how you want to look at it. Officially, it was 4. Realistically, it was 5 because the suspended game yesterday, I keep harping on this, but the suspended game yesterday actually didn't count as a loss yesterday. It counted as a loss earlier in the year.
Monday.
Which is ridiculous. What did I say?
You said yesterday.
What's today?
Today's
Monday. Yeah, that's right. Wow. Boy, the week's flying by. That was the voice of Jared Carrabis, who's presented by Blue Moon Belgian White. Be sure to relax and enjoy the ball game with Blue Moon Belgian White. That's Blue Moon, born in a ballpark, brewed for baseball. And when I say that is Jared Carrabis, that is Jared Carrabis of Underdog Fantasy. But I wanted to go back 2 nights. I wanted to go back to something Alex Cora said that illustrated certainly a level of despair, I think, that existed throughout the Red Sox following. Matt McCarthy has been saying for close to a week now, the Red Sox are cooked. It's over. And I say close to a week. It was after the weekend series loss to the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's it. They're dead. They're buried. Many of you have concurred. I should also mention quickly the phone lines are open right away. So if you want to talk to Jared, now's a good opportunity. 617-779-0985. I think I'm among the few who have said that despite the series performance, the Red Sox still aren't dead. These things can turn quickly. I think I've been mocked in some corners for this. Can't say I blame you, despite how the Red Sox performed last night, and it was better. 3 outfield assists in the game. They win 6-3. They start swinging the bats again, and they perform at a level something closer to what we believe that they have been really for the majority of the season. Amidst all of this, particularly the skepticism, the negativity, Jared Carrabis has come to a rather simple conclusion. Do you wish to share?
I would love to, Tony.
Please do.
The Red Sox are far from dead. They're far from dead. And I feel like the reason why there are so many fans right now that are throwing their hands up saying we're cooked, we're done, it's over, is because we've been hyper-fixated on the Royals. The Royals you're not catching. You could make the case that the Royals are actually the best team in that division.
Now tied for first place.
Tied for first place, but, I mean, overall having a better season than the Guardians now. You're trying to catch the Minnesota Twins. And the reason why I think that the season is far from over is, I subscribe to the Tom Caron theory, which is as long as you're not as many games out as there are weeks remaining in the season, you're still alive, which we're right on that precipice there. But you also still have 3 games against the Twins.
Correct, head-to-head.
You play them head-to-head. I'm not saying you control your destiny, but what kind of worries me, though, is that it's at Fenway. And I was on this morning with Wallach and Holly and Rochi, and got asked, why don't they play as well at Fenway? That's like the only question I didn't have an answer for. I have no idea. I don't know why they don't play as well at Fenway as they do on the road. So that worries me a little bit that these 3 games happen to be at Fenway Park, but you're 4 games back of Minnesota. They've lost 7 out of 10. They're not playing good baseball right now. Not saying that the Red Sox are. They're not. But they're the Minnesota Twins, the team that you need to catch, the only one team that you have to be better than. They're not playing good baseball right now, and you still have 3 games remaining against them. So it's not over. It's not done.
No, see, look, I know that this is, most people will attribute this to talk radio, what's the word I'm looking for? Contrarianism, that you just want to go against the grain. I firmly believe this. And I said this the other day. I think people always get this wrong. There is this tendency, particularly in this business, and I understand we have a show to do today, but particularly in this business, what is the most polarizing thing I can say, or polarizing perspective I can have about a team's standing? Are they done today? Let me ask this on June 2nd. Are they done? Well, no, of course they're not done. There's more than half the season left in June. And honestly, at this stage, I've just seen it too many times, Jared. Which is why when the Red Sox are having a killer season late in the year and someone says, oh, it's over, they're going to win the World Series. No, it's not. You still got to play it out. You've got to play it out to the very end. That's the challenge of it. It's a lot of games. It's a grind. And it doesn't take much for the whole thing to flip. So the Kansas City Royals have passed the Minnesota Twins. The Red Sox are now 4 behind the Twins. Minnesota lost last night. The Red Sox won. So this idea that the Red Sox were falling out of the race, they're really better off than they were going into the Arizona series.
Yeah.
I think they were coming out of the Arizona series, right?
5.5 or whatever.
I think they were 4.5 out coming out of Arizona. Now they're 4, and they lost 2 to the Blue Jays in the interim. Mm-hmm. So the point is, they're actually better off than they were on Monday. As preposterous as that may seem and impossible as it seems, it's true. And last night they started to play better. So now people have to understand these are 2 different arguments. Whether or not you believe in the team is one thing. That's one topic, one discussion. Whether or not they are out of it is something altogether different. The Minnesota Twins aren't that effing good. They are beatable. They're catchable. And so you just think people have been focused on Kansas City.
Yes. I think when Kansas City starts to play as well as they have in the second half, and I feel like we've been looking up at them, scoreboard watching, and it's like, oh, man, like Kansas City won again tonight. Like, we're never going to catch these guys. People are just not even paying attention to the Twins. You have to be better than one of those 2 teams, and you're in. And I also want to refocus here, too, because, there might be some people sitting there listening being like, Tony, Jared, what's the point? Like, do you really think this team can win a championship? You guys actually believe that? No, I don't. Right now, my focus is, can they get in? Like, it's a victory. It's not a small victory. I mean, making the postseason's a big deal. And I'm not even one of those guys where it's like, yeah, once they get in, you never know what could happen. No, I kind of know. Like, they're not going to go very far if they get in. That part I'm not confident in at all. But can they get there? Yeah, that part I do believe. Yes, they can still get in.
Now, look, if it ended today, correct me if I'm wrong, the top 2 teams get buys. Mm-hmm. But they're done by division winners first, right? 1, 2, and 3? It's not by 1-loss record?
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, the number 3 seed right now is Houston. Baltimore would be 4th because Baltimore's a wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you'd get, if you get in as the last wild card, you get Houston in the first round. You just beat them 2 out of 3 in their ballpark.
I don't know that I'm like licking my chops over a Houston
okay,
matchup.
and I'm not either. But let's, just play the game. The point is, I don't like their chances either. Can we play the games and just see?
Yeah.
The other thing is if the Red Sox are this team that is building, and you are one of these people that believes that the franchise is building from the inside out, which it is. You're telling me it's not beneficial to get Jarren Duran in the postseason? Ceddanne Rafaela in the postseason? Let's let Tristan Casas play in the playoffs and Tanner Houck and Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, guys who have never had a sniff of the playoffs. There's not value in having them on the field for a nationally televised playoff game, winner-take-all type of scenario that will prepare them for the longer term. That's not good.
I know it sounds weird, but that's almost my personal goal, is get them there to piss them off. Get them there, have them get their faces rubbed in crap in Houston, and then they can be like, man, like we fought all season to get to that wild card round just to get embarrassed on a national stage. and then have them come back. Only when they come back in 2025, you're going to have that next wave of talent. And that next wave of talent is arguably the best wave of talent that we've seen in a decade. So, yes, that is in a strange way, because I don't believe that they're capable of winning a World Series this year. That's not, oh, you got to have faith. Like, no, they have a +9 run differential in the year. They're not very good. They're good enough to get in, I believe, but they're not very good. They're not championship good. Get those guys in, the guys that are still key contributors that will be here next year, piss them off by getting embarrassed by a team like Houston, and now we go. That experience to me is invaluable.
Jared, it's a good point. A lot of teams, particularly ones in Boston, have won championships that way. They've won championships that way. Starting with the 04 Red Sox. They got to the playoffs and blew a series against the Yankees. They were down 3-2 going into Game 6 in New York. They won 6. They had 7 in their back pocket. They blew it. The Yankees got Alex Rodriguez in that offseason. You know what Red Sox management and ownership did? They went out and got Keith Folk and Kurt Schilling. They loaded up. And when they came into camp the next year, I distinctly remember the players saying, the Yankees got A-Rod, good for them. You know why they got him? Because they're afraid of us. The whole attitude had changed. Mm-hmm. And, look, again, now I'm crossing sports, but just to carry the message. The Bruins blew a 3-0 series lead against the Philadelphia Flyers in 2010. They were embarrassed. They came back the next year. They were on a mission. You know what happened?
They won the Stanley Cup.
Bingo. So the failure...
The Celtics.
Right, another one.
Yeah.
How many times that happened
Tatum
to them?
and Brown.
Right, and it motivates management, because management looks at it and says, "Oh, maybe there's more reason for us to invest in this team than before. Maybe some of these guys actually are playoff performers, can put up a fight, and we can all go out and win some games." I think all of that, to me, there's no real negative to getting into the playoffs. Now, even if you go in, if it's a veteran team and you get your asses kicked, then you look at it and say, ooh, this thing's going downhill.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second,
Sure.
Tony? If the Red Sox get to the playoffs, does that sort of justify John Henry's lack of spending by saying, hey, look, we didn't go all out this past offseason like you guys wanted to, and we still made the playoffs?
Okay, so you can argue that. Here's my ultimate point when it comes to that issue. If the Red Sox can win a championship now, spending less, and I'm not saying that I believe that they can, but if they can actually pull it off, spend less and win a championship, will that bother you?
No.
Okay, at the end of the day, who cares what they spend if they win?
Because every time that they have won, they've been a top 3 payroll.
Okay, so that's a different argument.
Yeah.
That is a, do you believe they can win without spending?
Sure.
I would say no, you would say no. What if they actually pull it off? What difference does it make how much they spend? All I care about with the Red Sox is having them be championship caliber.
Sure.
That's it. At the end of the day, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they have to spend to do that, so it pisses me off that they don't spend. What if they can actually do it? If they can win championships and not spend, why should you care?
Because I want stars.
Okay, so again, but you might be able to get those two if they're in your own system.
Yeah. No,
you might, and I'm not saying I'm not saying they'll keep everyone.
The players that are coming up, to me, it's almost like they have star power already. Like, I'm so excited for like the Roman Anthony's of the world and the Christian Campbells. Like, I'm excited for that.
So, believe it or not, Jared, we have a crap ton of calls on the line already.
Let's go.
That's how popular we are.
Talking socks.
People want to talk to you. They want to ask you about that glittery, beautiful chain that you are wearing around your neck. Can I call it a necklace, or is that?
It's a chain.
It's a chain.
Yeah.
What would you call that?
I don't know. You know where I got the idea from? It was Jey Uso, Jimmy. It's a Jey Uso. Yeah. He wore this, and I was like, you know what? That looks kind of cool.
Jared, take a picture of that and tweet it out so people know what I'm talking about. Seriously. Look at this thing. That is stylish. And I'm not even joking. I might have to get one of those.
I'll get you one.
Seriously.
Yeet.
Yeah. We'll yeet with Tony.
Yeet.
I might have to change the way I look. I'm looking for someone to change my look, my sort of whole, my fashion sense.
Yeah, we'll get you going.
Yeah,
Well, Tony, and then you can yeet in public with Jey Uso.
Right.
So that's a good idea. Anyway, 617-779-0985. I see a number of you lined up Also, breakout performer of the year, and it's really not even true, but the indisputable MVP of the Red Sox had himself a night last night. We'll touch on him as well because he is a central figure in the future of the franchise. That is Jarren Duran. We'll explore the possibilities for him in the offseason. We'll do that with Jared as well, all coming up on the Baseball Hour tonight.
Red Sox take a 1-0 lead. Not waiting around in attack mode. He's been doing that a lot lately.
And to think, some people didn't think Jarren Duran was an all-star. Ha! Fools. You believe that, Jared?
I do believe there's a lot of dumb people on the internet.
I would agree, Jared. There are a lot of stupid people out there that don't know what the hell they're talking about. Anyway, 617-779-0985. If Jaron Duran's an all-star, they really should cancel the event.
Oh, my God, Tony.
So much for that take. That didn't age well.
It really didn't.
So if Jaron Duran's an all-star, they really should cancel the event.
What's the date on that, Jimmy?
That was July,
Oh, my God. It was even, right up until the event?
Oh,
It
yeah.
was June 24th.
June 24th. Okay, so it was 3 weeks before.
Where was I for this? Why did I not yell at you?
Probably doing some promotional thing like you
my
always do.
God.
Hobnobbing with the...
There's a whole 2 minutes of this.
hobnobbing with the A-listers is what I meant to say. Holy
Making
crap.
Tyler Milliken a star.
So I just want to toss this out there quickly. I think Jaron Duran is a critical part of the Red Sox puzzle, but maybe not in the way you think, which we will get to momentarily. Because, again, as I said, we have a lot of people on the line already. So let's take some calls. We'll get Jared's thoughts and have him mingle with the public. Noah in Kansas City, of all places. Noah, what do you got?
Hey there, Mazz. Hey, Jared. First off, Jared, yeah, that chain looks spectacular. Amazing as always, Rocket.
Appreciate that.
Just want to comment 2 points. Completely agree with you guys. The Red Sox are not out of this race. We should absolutely take at least 2 out of 3 against the Twins. If we're scared against, going against Joe Ryan as a number 1 in the playoffs, then, what are we even doing here, And then, Jared, just wanted to get a quick question in for you. What do you think it would take to, get Rafaela to be number 1 in Rookie of the Year voting? I see Colton Cowser number 1 everywhere, and I believe I'm firm in believing that he should be a number 1. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, Jared, go.
So I feel like they're just going to look at Fangraphs. They're going to look at the wins above replacement. Rafael is not even the best rookie on his own team. For me, I look at it and say this dude plays 2 premier positions very well: center field, shortstop. He can hit a little bit. He can run fast, runs well on the bases. But at the end of the day, he's, again, not even statistically the best rookie on his own team. That would be Wilyer Abreu, and Colton Cowser has really turned it on. So I don't think he's going to win it, but it's a hell of a rookie season regardless. It's going to be the statistical nerds that look at just WAR, and he doesn't have it.
And forgive me if you said this, but you said second best rookie on the team. The first is Abreu.
Correct.
Okay, Wilyer Abreu. Just in case people are wondering who the hell Jared's talking about. Chris in Hartford. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, man. So the other day I called and I heard your response when I got off the phone, and it seems like we're seeing eye to eye on it. I do want to take the next step, though, with you.
Okay,
with
so
the run.
Chris, people aren't even sure what you're talking about yet. You're talking about the Red Sox inability to win at Fenway Park.
Right, because of the inside purpose pitches. Even if it's not a strike, at least they're setting the balance when it comes to either throwing the slider, which is their out pitch, but they have to set the foundation. They're worried because of the monster. They have young pitchers. They're not using that as a purpose pitch. So that was the premise. But I want you to understand something. That also bleeds into hitting. While the fielders are out there and they're watching a lot of these backwards counts, let's say, for their pitchers, it confuses them when they get up to the strike zone, and the understanding of the strike zone is also off. That's why they are down 50 runs at home and then on the road. It also is tougher for the
Chris, I'm going to stop you. Listen again. It's not that I disagree with you. I just got a million people on the phone, so you got to get to the point. But Jared, quickly, because you said you didn't understand it, and I'm curious as to whether there is any logic to it. He doesn't like the way the Red Sox pitch. He attributes that to the fact that they can't win at home. I would tell you they haven't won at home in 5 years or whatever it's been. But let's stick to this year, okay? What is it about this ball club in particular that you think, if I were to say to you, why can't they win at home? Why can't they win at home?
I truly don't know. I mean, you've got guys that don't keep the ball in the yard, but that's not exclusive to home. Like Cutter Crawford gives up a lot of home runs. Bayo gives up homers. You got guys that give it up. I know, like Houck has had some stinkers. I remember that one against the Padres. I genuinely don't know. I don't even know if you were to ask Alex Cora, like, hey, why do you guys suck at home? I don't know that he's giving you some sort of in-depth intellectual answer about it. It's just like one of those things where it's like, I don't know.
So, look, I don't have an answer either, but I will tell you there's something about this team that I don't like that I think has to factor in.
Yeah.
They don't have any left-handed starters. And say what you want about Fenway Park. It's a right-handed hitter's ballpark. No, it isn't. We all know it's a left-handed hitter's ballpark. It becomes infinitely easier to hit at Fenway if you are left-handed and you're facing right-handers all the time, because if the guy wants to come in on you, most guys have pull power. So you can hit the ball out of the ballpark. I know it's a long way out to right field, but pull power, guys can do it. It's the opposite field power that's harder for people to generate. Well, if you're a lefty and you're coming into Fenway and seeing all right-handers, you can pepper that wall all day long. Mm-hmm. So I think the absence of some left-handed pitching does hurt them this year. Now, does that explain the last 5 years or 4 years? No, it doesn't. But they have historically dominated in their ballpark. Dominated. They don't dominate anymore. And Jimmy Stewart looked this up the other day. The real discrepancy is in the pitching. They pitch well at home. They pitch well on the road. They don't pitch well at home. Why is that? And so I would tell you, as a right-handed pitcher, pitching at Fenway Park's a challenge. You got nowhere to go. You go outside, they hit the wall. And I'm talking about facing lefties now. You go inside, they got plenty of space in right center and down the right field corner to hit the ball that way. It's a hard ballpark to defend for left-handed hitters. Martin in Texas. Good, Martin.
Hey, guys. There's a lot of people that are mad that Marcelo Meyer's out for the season, but and they're all throwing around the bust word, but I'm not ready to call him bust just yet. I just think that it's fair to deem him injury prone at this point, because 3 out of the 4 years he's been in the system, he's had a season-ending injury, and I want to know you and Jared's opinion on that.
Okay, so I am a little worried about Marcelo Meyer, but I'd really rather hear from Jared. Go.
So I've kind of I defended him this morning too about the whole injury prone thing. If it's an injury at the end of the year and you don't necessarily want to push the guy, they'll just shut him down. Like if this is a player that's at the big league level and you're vying for a playoff spot, we'd see him again this year. But if it's a prospect that you don't want to have, that you do want to have a normal offseason, a normal spring training, and then a normal start to the season, you'll be like, yeah, why don't you just shut it down? If you've seen what you've needed to see from this individual during the season, then you can say, all right, yeah, like that, let's check the box. So it's kind of hard. It's hard to put the injury-prone label, especially with season-ending injury type stuff, because they do have shorter seasons at all the levels that he's played at, and it's the end of the year. So yeah, I'm not there yet. I think if there's one thing to be concerned about, it's that you want to identify, and you've mentioned this before, Tony,
guys who play through it.
No. Is this a guy that you want at the big league level? Like you're identifying this is a keeper. And if it's not, then you run into the whole, it's hurting trade value. That's the issue. I'm not worried about injury prone or anything like that.
Okay. So to me, and those things are related, because you want guys at the big league level that you deem to be cornerstone players that are competitive, that will play through injury, all those sorts of things. And again, independent of that, though, your point is a good one. If he's a guy that you don't really deem as being a cornerstone guy, well, then you need to show that he is, at least to the rest of the teams out there, so that someone will give you something for him and you want to move him on the market. That's what your point is.
Yeah.
And I think that is totally fair. I want to get to Jaron Duran. I also want to get to calls. It's still on the line. Kevin Majori has got your headlines here, so don't go anywhere. He'll catch up on the latest, including the Gerard Mayo news from today down in Foxborough regarding the starting quarterback of the Patriots and who that may or may not be and when he intends to tell everybody if he hasn't done so already. That's coming up next. We'll get to Jaron Duran as well.
It's just a stat. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. It's going to be broken eventually. I mean, you know, guys like B. Witt who can do that in his sleep. It's a cool honor. At the end of the day, it doesn't do anything for the team unless I'm helping them win. So, but it's a pretty awesome stat to have.
It's Jaron Duran. And what he's talking about is with his home run last night, it was his 20th home run of the season. And this stat, I mean, again, you can do whatever you want with statistics, make them say whatever you want. Some of them mean something, some of them don't. This one to me is kind of a season cycle, if that makes sense.
10, 20, 30, 40?
Yeah. In other words, you know, we all know what a cycle is. It's baseball bingo. I think it's one of the most useless accomplishments in the sport.
You've been on this for a decade.
Yes, longer. Mm-hmm. Single, double, triple, and home run in the same game. Great. I'll take a 3-homer game over that every single time. So I couldn't give a rat's ass about the cycle. But in this case, 10 triples, 20 homers, 30 steals, 40 doubles. No player in the history of the game has ever done that. And Jaron Duran now has. So I don't think that that's insignificant. Okay, because obviously it demonstrates a breadth of offensive skill that is hard to equal. The guy can really do it all offensively. I mean, there's really nothing he can't do. He can steal your base. He can hit you doubles and doubles and home runs. And more important than anything else, Jared, you add up the extra base hits. 40 doubles, 20 homers, 10 triples. It's 70 extra base hits.
I think the Red Sox record's like 91 or
okay, he's still got 5 weeks to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if he'll get to 91, but that's a crap ton of extra base hits.
Sure is.
Crap ton. And who wouldn't take that, let alone, and some of those are generated by his speed, but whatever. He runs like his hair's on fire, as the expression goes. So here's the question with Jaron Duran. Is he part of the nucleus that's coming? Meyer, Roman Anthony, Teal, maybe even Christian Campbell.
Definitely Campbell.
Okay. Is he part of that? Or is he a piece that you move to get yourself some pitching to add to that? How do you handle that?
So here's the thing, Tony.
It's a tough question.
It's a tough question because you can certainly see it from, all right, we've got Roman Anthony, we've got Willier. We're very left-handed in our outfield.
Right, Meyer's left-handed, Teal's left-handed on top of it, so you get all those lefties. And Devers.
Yep.
Casas,
yep. You're very left-handed with this core that you've been building internally. And then, obviously, as you just mentioned, some of those doubles, some of those triples, it's all speed. And when the speed goes, what kind of player do you have? Well, I think that if you're going to build that winning culture, because a lot of these guys, they've never won anything. It's Devers. Devers is the one guy that's actually won something on this team right now that's going to be a part of something. Obviously, Kenley has won a World Series, but he's not going to be here by the time this team is ready to win a World Series. You can't... does trading Jaron Duran, selling high on Jaron Duran, does that make sense? Yeah. But you can't do it. You can't. He's the heartbeat of the team. He's the identity of the team. He's the guy now that everyone is going to look to match his intensity. This is the guy that's in the gym every day. This is the guy that is working his ass off every single day. This is the guy that's hustling down the line on every single ground ball. He's the guy that has that attitude of us against the world. I know that him and I have kind of almost butted heads a couple of times because if I just criticize anyone, rightfully so, on the team, it's you can't talk about my teammates like that. He just has that mentality of I'm going to protect everyone in here. So you can't remove that from this team. He's the heartbeat of the team. He's the leader of this team. And you could be sitting there saying, well, he's an idiot for better or for worse. He shouldn't be the guy that's leading. I disagree. I mean, yes, he made a mistake this year, but as far as all the other intangibles that a baseball player can bring to the table, he's got them, So yes, he would be a very valuable trade asset. no, you can't move him. You can't do it.
Okay, so look, he had an incident this year involving a homophobic slur that happened just a couple of weeks ago. Most people are familiar with it. That's not the issue for me. I mean, tangentially it is. I mean, it's another thing I throw on the pile. The big thing for me, and just so people understand it, he's 27. They're not going to sign him to a long-term deal, I don't think. If they do, it all changes. He's not, to me, he's not.
You don't need to. He's under contract till he's like 32.
Exactly. So, at least it's 4 more years, I think, Jared. So it might be 3 or 4 more, but whatever it is, I don't know if it's quite 32, but it's close. So to me, the question then becomes, how close do you think you are? And is he a guy that's expendable? Because, again, you have all these other lefties. What I'm getting at is this. Someone from this group is going to get moved for pitching, I think. I don't know how else you're going to get the pitching. So he seems like a logical candidate for me because of his age and the fact that right now he is playing like out of this world and the stock is high. You could get something for Jarren Duran. But I understand your point. I mean, the guy has been one of the 5 best players in the league. And we were talking about WAR rankings. What's the stat you gave me on WAR during the break? Where does he rank in WAR in Red Sox history this season?
25th right now.
All time.
Yes.
He's
tied with Wade Boggs' 1986 season for the 25th best season in Red Sox history. But he'll quickly climb because if he's got 5 weeks left, say he gets to 9 wins above replacement, now you're in the teens. You're I think he ties like Ted Williams for like the 16th best season. I think Yaz is like 12 something in 67, and then the next best one was Mookie. He was in the 10s. So, but I think he can land somewhere in the 9s and have a top 15 season in Red Sox history.
Okay, so again, and with the emphasis placed on analytics, again, just to repeat what you said, Jarren Duran is going to end up with one of the top 15 seasons based on WAR in the history of the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. This is not a franchise that's been around since 1997 like the Tampa Bay Rays.
No.
Okay, we know the history of the franchise. We're talking 125 years. So the value in that on the open market is off the charts. I'm just saying I think it's something that has to be considered.
Tony, there's a move in mind, and Coley on Section 10 with Carrabis had mentioned that the Seattle Mariners might be a trade partner because they have a lot of pitching and they have a lot of high-value pitching. So Jarren Duran, to me, feels like a perfect player for a wide-open ballpark like Seattle, like Kansas City. So why not talk about a Castillo for Duran trade?
Okay, so again, you move him into a different division. He's out west. You don't have to deal with him quite as much. I mean, I'm just saying it's a scenario worth discussing. Alex Cora did talk about Jarren Duran last night. He had an interesting comment. Jimmy, I think we have it, right? If we could play Cora. Sorry, I kind of sprung that on Jimmy. And the computers always lock up.
Like I've been saying all along, he's one of the best players in the big leagues, man. And every night, you're like in awe of the things that he's doing. And we act surprised, but we should expect this, right? Like that's what he's doing now. He set the tempo right away, got to pitch in, hit it hard, and from there we just kept going.
Okay, I would also like to use this opportunity to issue an apology to Joe McDonald. Is Joe still with the Worcester Telegram? He used to be with the Providence Journal, then he started covering the Paw Sox, the Worcester Red Sox for the Worcester Telegram. Joe, a few years back, told me that Jarren Duran was the most dynamic and best prospect he'd seen in the Red Sox system since Mookie Betts. I spent the next several months mocking him profusely, particularly after Jarren Duran had the start he did in 2021, 22 in particular. It looked like a guy who didn't belong in the big leagues. Joe might have been onto something.
I think Joe flip-flopped on him, though.
He did?
I think so. Didn't he put out a column talking about his maturity in a couple months ago? It was even before the incident.
So I now see what Joe saw. Yeah. We all do, is what I would say. We do have a couple of callers that want to talk about Duran. I just think it's an interesting discussion. What do you do with him now? What do you do? What if you can get something for him? Vinny in Providence. Vinny, go ahead.
Mazz, not really open for discussion at all. I mean, you have one of the top baseball minds in New England for years now. I mean, this guy he's the face of the Red Sox right now. He's the one busting his tail every night. People finally want to go back to Fenway to see a player play like he does. Are we going to do this again to the fan base? Stop getting rid of our best players for these pitchers that, they come here, they have 1 or 2 good years, and then they fade away. It's an absolute ridiculous discussion. Last week or a couple weeks ago with the 3 lefties coming up to AAA, you were like, no doubt about it, trade Duran. He's got to go. He's going to be 28 soon. Get rid of him. I was like, I don't know if you say that to drum up calls or whatever, but it's absolutely ridiculous when you got a guy like Casas at first base that doesn't want to be there. He still wants to be in Worcester taking BP.
Okay,
he's played terrible defense the last week.
So, Vinny, slow down. So, Vinny, you want to trade Casas?
I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. He's a head case.
Okay, so
why is he? What?
Go ahead. I let him go. Go ahead.
Yeah. What is the Casas hate? Like that just sounds like a person that's like, oh, what? He paints his nails, get him off the team. He's hitting like 350 with almost 1,000 OPS since he came back. Like you can say whatever you want about his defense, it's been fine. I mean, he's been picking it over there. But Casas has been one of the best offensive performers at first base in the entire league since he came back.
Okay, so again, but you understand, this is sort of the dilemma that does face them right now. And again, I'm talking longer term, and I understand there's a race to play right now, and that's okay. But with Duran being as hot as he is, look, it doesn't have to be Duran. I'm just telling you. Casas, Devers, Duran, Abreu, Meyer, Roman Anthony, Kyle Teal. Who have I left out?
Devers.
I said Devers.
Okay.
But Yoshida, if you want to throw him in there, they're all left-handed. Every single one of them, they're all left-handed. You can't beat lefties as it is. You need some right-handed bats. You need some pitching. I would trade someone from that absolute stockpile of left-handed hitters that you have. I would trade one. You want to pick Casas? Go ahead. Michael in the car. Who would you pick?
Tony, it's Casas. It's got to be Casas. I'm not going to go on board with what the last caller said. I think he's a heck of a player.
Okay, Michael, I got to let you go. He says Casas, but let me bring in Kevin in New Jersey. Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, listen, guys, I'll be quick. I agree. It's got to be Casas. He's the only chip we have. There's no way I would ever trade Duran. Casas is the guy. When Cora said it's on his timeline, that to me was, this guy doesn't want to be here. I think he's soft. And if there's one chip that we have in the offseason, he's the guy. That's my take.
Okay, so Jared, this is, I guess at the end of the day, it's, would you trade someone in that group? Would you trade anyone in that group?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
Yes,
good
I
answer.
would. Yes, of course.
The people who say no to me don't get it.
Well, you almost have to. You almost have to do that. Like, you can't be that left-handed, especially once the guys in Worcester get up here. But the idea of trading Tristan Casas is just wild to me. It's insane. He's 24. He's 24 years old, and he's one of the best offensive performers in the league. You would regret trading Tristan Casas if that were the case. Like, there's other guys that can still net you a really good starting pitcher, which is very clearly what the Red Sox need. But moving this guy, and some of these fans that they're like, oh, he's a weirdo. Who cares? Who cares?
Who do you like best on the Seattle staff?
I picked Castillo to win the Cy Young Award coming into the season, and that was the guy that Coley identified because Seattle has historically told you, like, we're more inclined to move the guys that get paid the most.
Okay, he's 31.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Kirby's 26, George Kirby.
Yep.
Bryce Miller's 25. Gilbert's 27.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about Brian Wu. You're going to have to tell me about Brian Wu. Is Brian Wu legit?
Yes, he is.
Okay, Brian Wu has only walked 9 batters in 87 innings.
Yeah.
68 strikeouts. I like that.
They're stocked, but they can't hit.
Okay.
They're one of the worst. I believe if they won't, but if the Seattle Mariners made the postseason this year, it would be the worst team OPS to make the postseason since 1988.
Okay. There's a trade to be made there with Seattle.
Yep.
You got left-handed hitters coming out your ass. Everywhere. That kind of deal is going to have to be made here. The Red Sox are going to have to make that kind of trade. There's no way they can get pitching any other way, unless you want to wait for it to come up from the minor leagues and you believe in it, or you want to buy into this ridiculous philosophy of Andrew Bailey, spinning the crap out of it and pitching backwards, which I don't.
It's not working anymore.
Okay, or you got to go out and pay for it on the free agent market. I'd rather make a trade and trade one of these kids, get someone you can control for 4 or 5 years, and then you can re-sign him and keep it in the system. I would rather do that. But that means you got to give someone up. Who? We'll wrap it up with Jared when we come back. Oh, Jimmy wants us to keep going? Is that what we're going to do? All right, well, then we'll continue to take phone calls. Frank in Boston. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, that first caller went right at my tailpipe already, penciling in wins against the Twins. You can't pencil in wins for this team against anyone. But anyway, of course you can make an argument that have a chance of the final extra illusion of contention wild card. Call it 20%. But this is not one of those teams that can sneak in and do well. They can't pitch, they can't field, and the offense is sporadic.
So does that mean you shouldn't even try?
Well, hang on. I was going to make 2 points. One is they sell you the notion that you get in the playoffs and anything can happen. I call BS on that, just like the Pats sell us all sorts of stuff about the salary cap. Teams that sneak in and do well tend to play better baseball in the second half and get really hot as opposed to stumble in. They have plus characteristics like plus pitchers that can carry them through a short series, or they were just outright loaded but got off to a slow start like the Braves team of about 5 years ago. And they also added an enormous amount at the deadline. So, look, I would not say this about any other team in any other sport, but I don't understand the excitement about these guys getting in and getting booted as ownership. We're talking about this team and this ownership. We'll just use that playoff appearance as an excuse to keep doing more of the same, which is going to leave us all worse off.
Okay, so again, Frank, the ownership thing becomes a separate discussion. You're telling me it's not beneficial to get into the playoffs for some of the young players on this team?
It is.
I mean, that's just stupid. Let's root against them because we don't like ownership. When are you ever going to root for them if that's what your argument is? Nobody ever likes ownership. Am I wrong?
It starts off. It always starts off with like the honeymoon phase, and then that quickly fades.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that is a reason to root against the team making the playoffs because you don't like ownership.
No, I mean, I don't think you're a good fan if you root against your own team for any reason.
Okay. Are you allowed to get frustrated by your own team?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
And I am.
Any final thoughts, Jared?
It was good to see you, Tony.
About the Red Sox?
No.
No final thoughts?
No, I feel like I've made my case. I feel like there is just too many people jumping off the bandwagon right now saying that it's over. We're on to 2025. I don't feel that way. There is a path. And I know that it's just, that's the frustration, right? Is you need to sort of walk yourself through why you should want the Red Sox to make the postseason this year. You want those guys like Duran, Rafaela, Bayo. You want them to have postseason experience. You don't want their first time in October to be in a year where you really need to go for it. It makes sense for them to get it now. It makes sense to light a fire under their ass moving forward. And yes, it's very, very possible still for them to get there.
Can I give you a homework assignment for next week?
Please.
And I'm going to also do it. So we'll both have a homework assignment.
Okay.
Okay. I want you to make a list of who from the Red Sox nucleus among those left-handed hitters.
Who's keepers? Who
you would trade. In the order you would trade them. Ooh. Okay? And don't do it on your podcast and steal the idea.
I would never do that to you, Tony.
Uh-huh.
Never do that.
So this is what we're going to do. And Devers doesn't count because he's got a big contract, so that's different discussion.
Yeah,
Devers is staying. Casas, Roman Anthony, Teal, Abreu, Marcelo Meyer, Jarren Duran. Who am I leaving out? There's someone else in there I'm leaving out.
Yoshida?
No, forget him. He's overpaid too. We're going to go with the guys who are inexpensive. Casas. We're going to put all those guys on a list. And
Go Tanner Houck.
Just lefties?
Left-handed hitters.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the assignment.
No, you got to keep your pitchers, Jimmy. So it's about trading a hitter for a pitcher. Who are you going to trade? What order? I want you to give me an order next week. You're going to have to pick someone to trade. Okay, that's the assignment. Maybe we'll even do some of this tomorrow.
Oh, so we're stealing your idea for Felger and Mazz tomorrow.
Yeah, that way I have had some rehearsal and repetition. That way, by the time Jared comes in, I'm fully prepared.
A take tryout.
Yeah, that's what it is. A take tryout. Take lab. That's what we're going to do. Majority's got your headlines. Jared, as always, Pleasure to have you and your sparkling necklace.
Pleasure's all mine, Tony.
Very nice. We'll catch everybody tomorrow.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour coming up.